That's white noise. Let's get your attention. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, the Skratch Lords!
Hello, I'm DJ Manipulate. This is DJ Redmist. That's Cymatic. We are part of an international collective of scratch DJs that we've created ourselves. About 11 or 12 different countries now. We have some of the best scratch DJs of that countries sort of under our sort of umbrella of a name. So, and then we will produce music and release music on a collective amount of labels. And we've been doing that now for quite some time, quite some years, nearly 20 years I suppose it's getting on. And it's getting stronger and stronger. But as far as Skratch Lords is concerned, as you're going to see, there's usually 4 of us. And that can interchange between people. And mainly it's myself, Cymatic, Ejaculate, and Jimmy the Hideous Penguin. They both live in Ireland, one is in Dublin, one lives in Galway.
Did you say Dejaculate?
Yeah, I did, yes. And
it's a press DJ.
he couldn't come today.
Sorry.
Anyway, but we have Redmist, who is from you're from Santiago, Chile, in South America. His crew or band, they're like a scratch jazz band called Modus Operandi. They're part of our whole collective, but when one or someone else isn't here to be in our group, the other person might be here. So it's like the band can be anyone from the collective joining together as an improvised group. We make scratch music and other sorts of music really with turntables or samplers, but scratch music generally is everything is made on the turntable, the beats, the sounds, everything, the choruses and everything. What you're going to see here now is we're going to explain to you about how we make scratch music and what it is, and yeah, pretty much that really. So, have you got a mic over there?
Yeah, I've got a mic. Hello.
So I think you need to take over now.
Yeah.
Just for this mic.
So yeah, it was interesting listening to what Harry was saying about how we got into MCing and how we got into like selecting the words and really picking up on all of what the MCs were saying. And for me, when I was a kid growing up and listening to there was all sorts of like hip hop and drum and bass going on around me, that I was listening as well. But I was kind of thinking, how are they making all of this stuff linked together, and especially with hip hop DJs, they're manually putting words together and making records say new things. And you know the record sometimes, and you're like, I know it doesn't normally say that, but how's he managed to make it say that new thing? Or how's a DJ managed to listen to so much music that they found a sentence that they can use in the same way that Harry does freestyle and just like actually come up on the fly and say something with a record. So it's like, how have they got all of that knowledge in their head? How have they got access to all of those records? All of that stuff fascinated me. And I've ended up I've got like a scratch label. We make scratch records, which are like the tools that you can use to make scratch music. You can use any record, there's no rules about that, but this makes it a little bit easier for people to sort of see what they're doing. And so the way that we make our records is putting stuff in a way that you can just put a label on the record and you can kind of see where everything is, a bit like how you have frets on the guitar or something like that. So I've got one on the turntable here that's actually made by Redmist, which is, it's got all sorts of instruments on it. It's got a section for drums, section for bass, section for vocal sounds, and there's all sorts. And the guys over there, they've got various other records that have little bits and pieces on them. And the whole idea is that we can just like quickly find little bits. We've not rehearsed anything. We just know each other well enough to sort of trust each other to come in at the right time and sort of listen to each other as we do it. So should we give it a go and just sort of freestyle?
Yeah, you mean that. So what, you want to rock a beat?
I'll do a beat, yeah, and then you guys can come in over it.
Do you want to do a melody? You've got a bass line. Okay. So Matt's going to scratch drum a beat. Redmist has got a bass line he's going to do out of a bass noise on the drum, just like a tone. change the sound of the tone with the pitch control and with the crossfader on the mixer to create a bass line. And then I'll do like a verse as such, like a scratch verse, which would be equivalent to maybe a vocal verse, but with small part of the drum break and using the kick drum, the hi-hat and the snare separately with scratch techniques. Redmist is using the bass, changing the pitch of the bass with the pitch control on the turntable, using the crossfader to cut it out, so as you would on a bass guitar, but done with a different the turntable. There you can see how we can structure and make an actual song improvised from just sections of a record and all the different parts. And we can break it down, like the sample said. Just break it all apart and reconstruct it with the techniques of scratching and with just a bit of vinyl, record player and mixer, just a crossfader in. So if you take that on board with what can be done improvised, which takes a lot of experience and practice to be honest, but to do it well, but if you take that on board with how that is made, when you're composing scratch music, you've got all the time in the world to make it really sort of, however you want to do it. So yeah, that's scratch music essentially. So shall we do some more?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I wonder if it's worth pointing some stuff out to, because I know there's a lot of guys that are DJs here, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if how much you guys scratch or not, but there's a couple of things that scratch DJs like about their setups that's a little bit different to like a normal DJing setup. The main thing that you probably notice is like how we use the crossfaders. Is when you're doing when you're doing a DJ set, you want to sort of you want to use this crossfader to smoothly blend from one channel, which is playing one record, to the other channel that's playing the other record. And with us, we want that cut-off, the speed that it fades to be as close as possible. It fades from nothing to full volume in like a millimeter, and that lets you do sort of much faster stuff. Otherwise, it will sound a little bit softer around the edges, I'll do it with like a typical scratch sound, sort of slightly rounder then. So that's like one of the big differences that we use, like the way that we use the crossfader. And we often use turntables like these ones. The best stats is probably most of our guys' favourite. And they can do way more pitch than a normal DJing turntable. Like the old Technics that everyone's probably familiar with in clubs they're brilliant decks, but they don't have crazy pitch range. You know, they're just enough to sort of mix a couple of songs together. But these go all the way down to like half their original speed, so you can do some really interesting stuff with tones. Like Diego was using tones there for the bass, and he was getting different notes out of it. And you can play it a bit like other sort of slide instruments, you know. So yeah.
See that? Sorry, that classic scratch sound. That one you said was the classic. Where does that come from?
So that's called the R scratch.
Yeah, so that comes from a record by Fab Five Freddy called Change the Beat. And it's a sample at the start of the record.
No, it's right at the very end. It's just like completely
Is it the
randomly.
end?
Yeah, just completely.
I've got the French version of it. It's at the start.
It's for no reason. For no reason at all. At the end of the record, it just the music stops and someone just said, "Oh, this stuff is really fresh." But they're saying it through a vocoder.
Through a phone, though, isn't it?
It's like
So he says this stuff is really fresh. And
this stuff is really fresh.
So the R is the sound.
Yeah, and you hear people scratching fresh all the time as well. It's from the same.
That's so
But there's just something about that sound that's just like so perfectly sort of crunchy, and it's just like it's a great sound to like go back to if you're sort of.
It's become the like I don't know. It's become like the staple.
It's almost like the
Sounds,
standard,
like a testing sound.
And what's cool about it is that there's with that one, it's got a very sharp beginning and it fades out kind of thing. So you can kind of play with that volume, and then with the fresh sound that everyone likes to use, there's almost like two different sections. You know, you can jump between them. And so there's like a bunch of little combinations that starts unlocking in your head as you start sort of figuring out how to do that, and you go, oh right, I can do that with it. I could go away and do that with another sound. Or you can start taking sentences from rappers. That's what I love doing, is finding all the 90s hip hop records that would have acapellas on them. Go and find those little phrases or sentences that someone would say, and they just have like an interesting words or just the texture of their voice or whatever, and it just catches your ear, and then you want to do a little phrase with it. So like this probably has something. So I could make, if these guys start messing around with the beat, I can quickly find a way to mix that in time and to start soloing with just those words. I'll give that a go if you guys want to cut a beat together. I'll do some vocal cuts over it.
Or like a beat together.
Yeah, you do it. Maybe you do a bass, Diego does a drum, and then I'll do some vocal cuts over that sort of demonstration. It's almost like rapping on the record.
The band that Diego's in, Modus Operandi, when we first sort of got to know that band and everything, and saw them perform live as a quartet as such, I mean, we've all been experimenting for years and years with different types of music and making scratch music live with different styles and everything, but the way these guys did jazz, basically, they just sounded like jazz. It was great. What have you got to say about that, Diego?
my English is not so good. It's pop out and yeah, like Jim says, we improvise like the same way but with jazz sound. So most barely is mostly that, like improvising with jazz sound. What we choose in a record, what we made, like I don't know, like 3 years ago we made the first beat.
Probably, yeah. We released it in 2020, so yeah, it came out 3 years ago.
With those sounds that we put in the record, like we make an album, what we release in cut and paste.
It's like a battle tool, is it?
It's a composition.
Like jazz scratch music album.
Well, so what they did actually was like they made a compositional tool. It's like a bit like a battle tool,
Yeah,
but it was vocals on there, but it was mostly jazz instruments. So there's like horn section,
Someone was using
drum
it earlier,
section.
when we turned up, someone was...
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, but what was cool about it is that they released that in like 2019 kind of time, and then went away and made an album with it. So they released the tool, constructed a whole album with all the sounds on it, and then put that out as well. So like it's like a completely kind of recycled sounds, completely reinterpreted. Yeah, really interesting stuff. And we went out to tour with them in Chile early 2020. And they just released the album. We were doing the shows with them live, and then Weekend supported.
Is that when you got caught up in war?
It's like a revolution.
A revolution?
It was the middle of a revolution, yeah. Chile kicked out their old government at the time, and that was pretty interesting. That was pretty interesting thing to see at the time, yeah.
Is there a video of you like scratching in a shop and outside there's like tear gas and like tanks rolling?
There is that video, yeah.
We did an in-store at a record shop called Needle, and
Needle vinyl. Needle vinylos? Yeah, so, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there was always plenty of stuff going on at that time, but we were there, and then this big armored vehicle came down. The police were just tear gassing and war hammering anybody in the street. It wasn't like a riot. They literally just come down and just take out people, push chairs, possessions, everything. So we were doing an install in the record shop. And then they just came down the street, brought us to pile inside. And yeah, that went on. Silent scratching as like war hammers blasting against the shop window and stuff. During the tour, the driving around burning barricades and stuff in the street. Great fun. It was really hot. It was South America, I think, was like. But yeah, it was a good tour. It was very good. No, it was just before COVID, so yeah. Quite nice. So, does anyone got any questions?
When did you first be into scratching?
Oh, when I was about 12, in like 1984. Just hearing music, and then there was the electro compilations that I'm sure a lot of people are aware of. Street Sounds electro compilations. Back then, I got into like body popping and sort of b-boying and stuff at the same time. But the scratching, I just totally thought was really cool. Just the sound of it, I didn't know what it was really, I didn't know how they were doing it, I didn't know what was going on. It's just a new sound, so I just wanted to get into that right from the outset. So yeah.
Is there a particular track that caught your attention?
Yeah. I mean, Rocket by Herbie Hancock with Grandmaster DXT on it, but that wasn't the one that really did it for me first of all. I think it was. The actual scratching on it, I think it was probably Reckless by Crystal Glove Taylor and David Stores, and Ice-T, that was on the film Breakdance, or Breaking as it was called in the US. That, I think. And then Crystal Glove Taylor again, and a track called Ichiban Scratch that was on Street Sounds Electric 7. So that was just crazy. And then from then on, lots of different things. There was that scratching, and I was into hip hop by then anyway, amongst other things. So yeah, a long time ago.
It's so weird, that film, Breakdance, like as you mentioned, that's what got me into like hip hop and breakdance when I was around the same age as I was 12.
You're 35 then?
Yeah. but that was the only thing, wasn't it? Because there was nothing else, and then suddenly this thing came beamed into the cinemas, and it was like, what the fuck is that?
Wildstar was one for me. Like that. I was really
Star
into
Wars
graffiti
as well.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Documentary. I remember like when we got a VHS for the first time.
Yeah.
Top loader, whatever. Massive. I remember it was on Channel 4. when Channel 4 first started, like 95 or something like that, they put it on Channel 4, Star Wars. I remember videoing it, like having it on videotape and watching it every day. Again. The Breaking and Beach Street, they were the local video shop when you could hire out, when you were 12, you could hire anything out. There was just no lady running it, didn't know what the films were or anything. But like, yeah, so all about them really, yeah. And, so yeah, long time ago. So does anyone want to step up and have a go? Maybe like doing a bass line and sort of could do a beat or swap around and stuff like that. Be involved? Yeah, you do, don't you? Yeah, awesome.
No, he's cheating. He already knows how to scratch.
Well, I'm not that good, so.
Baseline.
So I'll do a bit.
Myself into.
You could hear there, like Chris was using different there was like 5 or 6 different notes on the record, and he was just choosing different